The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.
Pow. What's up, guys? All right, so I got another story for you, a Beth Avenue story. Now, I'm going to talk about little Georgie Adamo's father. Now, little Georgie Adamo's father, his name was Georgie Crowbar. He was Georgie Sr. Now, he was very close with Carmine Galante back in the day growing up. Eventually, he was going to get straightened out. He gets murdered in 1975 with a guy by the name of Charlie Larocca. Let's roll a photo up. These two guys, that's Georgie Adamo right there, and the other one was Charles Larocca. Charles Larocca was like an Avenue U guy, and Georgie Adamo was originally from Gravesend, Avenue U. He was very friendly with Frankie Hart, the guy who got blown up with Frankie the Chico. Frankie Hart ends up baptizing Georgie Adamo, one of Georgie Adamo's daughters, and little Georgie, my friend, was baptized by Eddie Leno. So little Georgie Adamo had Anthony Sparrow as a godfather, and he had Eddie Leno as a godfather. And one of the sisters was baptized by Frankie Hart. So Georgie Adamo was a very active gangster in the street. Eventually, he would get straightened out. But what happens is he gets murdered in 1975 by Jerry Papa. Him and Charlie Larocca, they are at the 19th hole. That is where they used to hang out. And in the 19th hole, all these guys hung out. A lot of wise guys visited the 19th hole. It was mainly a Lucchese guy. It was Christy Tick's spot. It was located on 14th Avenue and 86th Street, across street from Scapacci Funeral Home. And Jerry Papa would also go in and out of there. Now, this is a time when a lot of guys were selling babanya. They were in the heroin business big time. They were making tons of money off the heroin business. Big money these guys were making. And everyone was also selling cocaine. And this is a time when these guys were also doing cocaine. They would go out, have a couple of drinks, go to the bathroom, sniff a little cocaine, and that would make them very paranoid. Jerry Papa was a very paranoid person. This guy right here, this photo, this guy killed over 37 people. He's responsible for 37 murders. When they killed him, a guy by the name of Red Hot walked in a little delicatessen that he used to hang out on 14th Avenue and 66th Street. I think it was called the 66 Club. And Red Hot pulled out a shotgun and blew his head off. This guy was a bad guy. I mean, all the guys he did business with, he basically killed. There was also a guy by the name of James DiBartolo. James DiBartolo was a bank robber and also a diamond guy, robbed a lot of diamonds and banks. And he was also friendly with Jerry Papa. And his body was never found. So he's basically probably behind that murder too. This guy killed a lot of people. They should have killed this guy a long, long time ago. That's what is wrong with the mob today. They have guys like this in the mob where they're allowed to kill another made guy. Now, he was also accused of killing this guy, Shorty Sparrow. Shorty Sparrow was a wise guy in the Colombo crime family. And he had a beef with Shorty Sparrow, and he ends up killing Shorty Sparrow on the sneak. Now, all the families know about this, but they don't do nothing. They wait a couple years later to kill this guy, Jerry Papa. I mean, Jerry Papa was a bad guy. And Jerry Papa hated Carmine Persico. Carmine Persico at the time was responsible for the Joey Gallo murder. You know, Joey Gallo went uh, to bat against Carmine Persico and his crew. Carmine ends up winning. Carmine becomes the boss, and Carmine makes history. But I want to get back to these guys now. When Jerry Papa killed these guys, what happened was they were doing some kind of business with Jerry Papa. Now, these two guys are known to be tough guys in the neighborhood too. Now, back then, everybody was a tough guy, everybody was a killer, and everyone belonged to a family. But the thing is, if you weren't made, I mean, you really weren't protected, because when you get straightened out, you get a badge. And with that badge, it gives you a license to do anything you want, because now you're a member of an organized crime family. These two guys were not members of an organized crime family. They were around people, they were on record with people, but they were not made guys. So when Jerry Papa met them, what he did was he was doing business with them, and he's the type of guy, whether he was doing some kind of narcotics business or any kind of business he was doing with them, he basically killed them for a reason, because maybe he owed them money, maybe they were delivering a whole bunch of dope to him, but they killed them because these two guys were dangerous, and he just killed them like they were nothing. And after he killed them, what he did was he gag tied them. Okay, he tied them up. He put them in a van, in a stolen van, and he parked their two dead bodies in front of Carmine Persico's house. Now, he did that for a reason, because he had no respect for Carmine Persico. And Carmine Persico didn't like him either. And Jerry Papa got away with a lot. And he also killed Shorty Sparrow. Shorty Sparrow was a made guy. And I think this is the reason why they end up killing Jerry Papa later, because Jerry Papa killed Shorty Sparrow, and people in the neighborhood are talking. And whoever did business with Jerry Papa, they end up getting killed. So this guy was a sneaky scumbag. 100%, this guy was the biggest scumbag in the world. He meets you and he come kill you. If he was doing business with you, that's it. You were never found. And if you were found, he basically did it. He killed a lot of people, this guy. But these two guys, Georgie Adamo, Charlie Larocca, they were very close with Eddie Leno. Now, when they kill these two guys, Eddie Leno goes to Georgie Adamo's house, and he asks the wife, have you seen Georgie? And the wife goes, no, I haven't seen him. So they've been missing for about 2-3 days. Then eventually they find the van. It's in front of Carmine Persico's house, and they all know that Jerry Papa did it. Now, at this time, Jerry Papa is a wise guy in the Genovese crime family, so nobody could do nothing. But people are making complaints to Vincent the Chin, and eventually, later on, Vincent the Chin gives the order to kill Jerry Papa. Now, the reason how I know that Jerry Papa killed these two guys, because I was away with Frankie Leno. Frankie Leno was a captain in the Bonanno crime family. He was a funny guy. I did some time with him, and he was very close with these two guys, Charlie Larocca and Georgie Adamo. And he told me a whole bunch of stories about them. One story he told me about Georgie Adamo was that they met some guy in a high-rise somewhere in Manhattan, and they end up throwing the guy off a 40-foot story building. So these guys were definitely serious guys. Back then, all these guys were tough guys. So, this is a story where, look, back in the day, all those guys were serious guys, okay? And Charlie Larocca and Georgie Adamo were tough guys, I'll tell you. And if they don't get killed, eventually they get straightened out. And later on, eventually, Eddie Leno gets straightened out with the Gambinos. And when I was a kid, me and Georgie Adamo, we used to go to Sheepshead Bay, and Eddie Leno would be sitting at a big round table with about 8 to 10 guys. And he would be in a fancy restaurant in Sheepshead Bay. And me and Georgie Adamo, we would ride our bikes down there, and he would hit us off with $100 a piece. And he would tell all his friends, he said, look, this is Georgie Crowbar's son. But he was godfather to little Georgie. and we would always take rides to go see Eddie Leno. And eventually, Anthony Sparrow liked Georgie Crowbar. Georgie Crowbar was very friendly with a lot of people in the neighborhood. He was close with Carmine Galante, and Sparrow felt that it was his obligation to look out for little Georgie Adamo. Now, growing up with little Georgie Adamo was the leader of the Bath Avenue crew when we were kids. He was a tough kid. When he used to fight, he used to grab you and just wiggle you all over the place, and you couldn't even grab him. That's how fast he was. And he was a great athlete. But this is just a story I want to share with you guys. It was a great time growing up as a kid with my friends, where I could share these memories with you. But I also wanted to get into, these are the guys that were in the neighborhood. Guys like Jerry Papa, Georgie Crowbar, Charlie Larocca, Shorty Sparrow, Carmine Persico, Frank DeChico, all these guys, Joe Sis, Beansy, all these guys were tough guys back in the day when I was growing up. And a lot of guys didn't make it because in that life, you have treachery and jealousy, and people sneak you. They don't care if you're made, you're not made. If they could sneak you and get away with it, yes, they will. There's nothing good about that life. And anyone who glorifies it is definitely something wrong with them, because that is a scumbag life to live. I don't recommend it to no one. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on my next one. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.